Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Hit like buttons, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications as well. So many of you have done it in recent weeks, and it's humbling as always. So if you haven't done it yet, get that done now. The transfer window is only 6 weeks away from starting. The work is well underway. Multiple teams need to improve during this window, whether it's to win their first league title in many years, retain titles, avoid relegation, prop up their efforts to make it into the top four. There's lots that's going on this January, and it could be a busy month for many clubs, one of which has its fans screaming for additions is Arsenal. Arsenal are in pursuit of their first league title, which would be in 20 years, 2 decades. It's been far too long for the North London outfit. There's an article here that I read today that states that Arsenal have given Mikel Arteta the green light to sign a marquee January signing. And a lot of people may think that's going to be Ivan Toney, and it could be. But it does appear now there is a lot of noise coming out of Arsenal that Mikel Arteta and the club could focus away from a striker and look to improve the midfield area. The article goes on, I'm reading it here, it says that Thomas Partey has struggled to get a consistent run of games this season due to a number of injuries, which subsequently could explain why the club are willing to let him go in the summer. Did they envisage, could they see through sports science these injuries and these problems arising? We also know that Kai Havertz, yet playing in any kind of midfield role, has not set the world alight for Arsenal. And it is time, and they've done it with the situations with Leno to Ramsdale. They've done it with Ramsdale to Raya. It is time for Arsenal to be that ruthless club, which the Man Cities, the Bayern Munichs, the Real Madrids have always been. And if Kai Havertz isn't cutting it, and if Thomas Partey's body is failing him, they must reinvest. Now, we're going to talk Ruben Neves a little bit later because that is an option for Arsenal. But there's a number of teams, including Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur, that are looking at him. But 2 names that have come up in this article which are interesting is, first of all, Aston Villa's Douglas Luiz. We know how talented he is, Premier League proven. He wanted Arsenal and Arsenal wanted him only 12 to 18 months ago, and the deal on deadline day in 2022, the summer of, it kind of fell through. But his name is mentioned in this article, plus Martin Zubimendi. Now, this isn't a player that I've watched too much of. I don't watch a lot of Real Sociedad's football. But I did a show the other day with Lee Gunner, and he was raving about him. So, you know, I've watched some compilations. Now, before any of you go crazy, I don't think the compilations tell you all you need to know about a player. You can see if they've got a good touch and a good turn and, you know, what their center of gravity is like and what the highlights look like. But you must read scouting reports. You must delve into them a little bit deeper. And of course, you have to underpin anything you read or see with watching him in real games. What I will say is what I've read about him, the way he's spoken about, is Zubimendi is an exceedingly talented player who most people believe at the age of 24 should be moving on to a bigger level than Real Sociedad. And I say that with absolute respect to them as a football club. And this is going to be an interesting January for Arsenal if they were able to go and sign someone like Zubimendi. Currently, his valuation, according to transfermarket.com, is around 40 million euros. You look at his profile, though, his contract runs out in the summer of 2027, though. So he's going to have 3 years left on his deal, 3.5 years left on his deal come January. It makes him an expensive signing. And if more than one club come in for him, and you can imagine if an English club comes in, a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid may also raise their heads. This creates a bidding war, and it could make the player far more expensive than the 40 million euro valuation currently placed against his head. So it's going to be an intriguing space to look at when it comes to Arsenal. Could they get Zubimendi? Could they get Douglas Luiz? And if they go for a midfielder, Arsenal fans, is that better in your opinion than going for a striker? Now, there are multiple articles out there that speak about Arsenal have been alerted by the possible move for Ruben Neves. There's also stories out there that, of course, Newcastle, heavily linked with the player and have been since the summer. With Tonali now being gone for at least 12 months, they're in a situation where they need to improve and bolster the midfield. Ruben Neves was always a player that I rated. I wanted Man United to sign him. I was annoyed at him personally for going to Saudi Arabia. Not for, look, go do the money, go get your bag. But I do feel at the moment that the overall standard in Saudi, you should be going there at the end of your career, not in the middle of it when you haven't achieved greatness yet. And I believe there's a chance for him to go and play for a team and immortalize himself by winning the biggest trophies in the world. Spurs are also interested in him as well. And look, I think they're all in the race for him. They're all there. Personally, I think if all clubs go in from 100%, Arsenal are going to have a greater sort of opening to offer him. Newcastle is a very exciting project. But of course, Spurs have some very talented players. They've started the season well also. But if it was to come down to Douglas Luiz, Neves, or Zubimendi, Arsenal fans, I'm sure most of you are going to be picking Zubimendi. I'm sure you are. But let me know in the comment section what you think. And Phil, now, staying in London and moving to West London, Ben Jacobs has spoken here. And he said that Victor Osimhen is undoubtedly an option for Chelsea. He said there could be a scenario where Chelsea tries to pre-sign Victor Osimhen in January for the summer in order to jump ahead of the market. This is an intriguing one. Getting this deal done in January would have to break British transfer records. This would have to be a 150, 160 million deal. Has to be. For it to happen in January. They're not doing particularly great this year, Napoli. I think they're fourth in Serie A. They haven't looked as potent or as dangerous as last season. They've recently sacked the new manager that has come in. Things they're not doing awfully, but they're not performing to the standards they set last season. This could make it easier in some respects to get Victor Osimhen if you shine a new shiny toy at him. It could also make him more expensive because Napoli will be desperate for him to stay. If they were top of the league, or say second in the league, 5-6 points off top, but very secure in the top 4 race, maybe it'd make him a little bit cheaper. But they want that Champions League football. And if you're going to take away a player that could stop them from getting that, they will want to be compensated for that. And that is going to cost big bucks. But if they can't get it done in January, I know Chelsea fans want a prolific goal scorer. Would you be willing to wait until the summer? A lot of talk of Ivan Toney. I think if you're signing Victor Osimhen, that deal can't happen with Nicholas Jackson already at the club and signing a player such as Victor Osimhen. I just don't see Ivan Toney and Osimhen both fitting in together. They want to play in each other's positions, unless you're looking to play 2 up front, which I don't think Mauricio Pochettino is going to do. It's going to be either or either, one of those 2 players. And the big question for Chelsea fans, can you stomach the rest of the season just with Nicholas Jackson? Yes, you're going to have Nkunku come back, who isn't a number 9, but should add more of a goal threat. The Raheem Sterlings and the Cole Palmers are now starting to play well and add goals. Can you manage until the end of the season and then get the man that Poch wants in Victor Osimhen? Or should it be a case of a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush? If you can get Ivan Toney in January straight away to start his Chelsea career instantly, is that the better option in your opinion? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm torn on this. One's Premier League proven. And that doesn't count for everything, but it counts for something. We know this. Ivan Toney is available in January. Ivan Toney is half the price. That is also a key component. You could argue Ivan Toney has better hold-up play, and he's better technically on the ball. Victor Osimhen, however, he'll come in the summer. No hangover from a long-term ban. He'll come in, this guy has won major league titles. This guy is a tried and tested international player as much as someone who is kickball in the Champions League. So there are elements of Victor Osimhen where he is delivered at the front line for a team in a title race. He is killing it when it comes to killing it in terms of Serie A, playing very well internationally, Champions League proven as well. These are boxes that Ivan Toney hasn't ticked. So therefore, that element of him is far more expensive. And I think there's definitely more of a commercial front to the Osimhen deal as well, which increases his valuation, which you have to separate from the football. He's more potent financially, therefore he will cost more money. But it's a really interesting one for Chelsea fans to weigh up, and I want your opinion. Because as I see quality in both. But do Chelsea need goals now, or can they wait potentially for somebody better in the summer? I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. Now, moving up north, this was an interesting story that came out here from Christian Falk. He said that Man City are interested in re-signing Leroy Sané. He says Liverpool are also in the mix for the winger. And this is one of these weird stories. City re-signing somebody who wanted to leave. It's not impractical. It's not impossible. It doesn't mean it won't happen. From a Liverpool point of view, where does Leroy Sané predominantly play, or in recent times? Let me just again check, because I want to say it's on the left. I could be so wrong about that. Genuinely, I could be so wrong about it. Here he is, Leroy Sané. I wanted to say on the left, but no, he's a right winger. I thought it was okay. Yeah, on the right. Let me just check this season as an example. Okay, it's a bit of a split. 12 games this season on the right, 7 games this season on the left. We go to last campaign, predominantly on the right-hand side. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Well, last year the split was crazy. 17 on the right, 14 on the left, 10 as a 10. Season before that, and maybe I've watched a few games where he's been on the left, and that's why it was stuck in my head. Well, season before that, there we go. 32 games on the left, 13 attacking midfield, only 7 on the right. So I think there's a mixture there. So yeah, maybe that's why it was in my head. Where does Leroy Sané sit into Liverpool? The only place I see him fitting would be the replacement of Mo Salah. That would be the only logical sense. When it comes to Man City, you've got Doku who's just come in. And I think, generally speaking, Doku's going to get better and better, and he has demonstrated what the manager wants from his wingers. Penetration, output. Maybe there's a train of thought of Man City with Riyad Mahrez gone, with Jack Grealish looking good, but not delivering all the time. Maybe there is a train of thought of if we have Sane one side and Doku the other, the volume of chances that we are going to create for Erling Haaland maybe helps us with the fact that KDB looks like he's coming to the end of his career. Maybe this is a piece of forward thinking from the Man City manager. Well, Jack Grealish isn't a high-level creator. If KDB disappears, how are we going to continue to create for Erling Haaland moving forward? Maybe that's the rationale behind this. But it's an interesting story. Do you personally see him coming back to the Premier League? And if so, where? Let us know in the comments section below. Remember, turn on the bell notifications. Literally next to the subscribe button, it's like a bell. Get them turned on, push notifications on your phone or your desktop, whatever it may be. Get that done. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.